we couldn't even do the second operation of our parts because they couldn't repeat within 3,000s. So we threw all their stuff into the dumpster and brought all Schunk in there, and we never had that problem again afterwards. So it really speaks to the quality of y'all's product.
That's literally the best commercial for Schunk right
no
there.
doubt, right? One of the best aerospace companies in the country, and bam.
What we did is we created the biggest toolbox that is actually available in the market.
If you want to make good money, then put the work in. Stop crying about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And put the work in. I just want to say, like, what an incredible trip to Germany and going to the Schunk facility. And what a class act. Like, we had multiple dinners. We got to walk around and see legit manufacturing. See, like, we got Hellers right here, and we saw the Hellers on your floor. Brand new system. And that whole facility is, like, it's pretty new, huh? Like, how old is that facility?
Well, actually, we started there quite early, and we started there in 1994, but we were expanding it a couple of times, and therefore you have seen the latest expansions, but also the buildings that we are running for many, many years.
Nice.
And again, first of all, Titan, thanks for having me today, but also thanks for visiting us in Germany. That was a blast for us, and also a big honor.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
How many square feet total is that facility, the new one? You've expanded?
Just the expansion is about 100,000 square feet.
Wow. Yeah.
And then the total square feet of that facility
is 220,000 square feet.
Beautiful.
Just in production.
Beautiful.
That's nice. And you got the blue floor.
We are having the blue floor everywhere, you know. And that's the point to make. You have seen one of our facilities, and the nice thing is you mentioned it in a video. Because you saw it in North Carolina in our facility as well. But all the other facilities are looking the same, not just with the blue floor, but also with the idea of production and equipment and the philosophy making our products.
That's awesome. You know, I think that it adds so much to the culture. Like your facility has to be great, you know, and I'm all about like having a great facility. And I know a lot of people like, they watch our videos and they might be introduced to our trade by our video. So I want to make sure that they see greatness, you know? And it's like, so I'm always like, whenever I go to different shops, like around the world, I just look at what they're doing and look at the floors and look at the machines and look at like all the processes that are in place. And then when I went to North Carolina to your facility, I literally like looked at this floor and it looked kind of like it had texture. I got on my knees, like I think I might have even licked it. You know, I'm a little weird, you know. And I was like, wait, it seems like paint, but it's like rubbery, but it's not flaking off. I'm like, how long is this gonna last? And they're like, oh, it lasts. And I'm like, wow, we need to do that.
That was like 8 years that floor had been laid, and it looked brand new.
Right. They are lasting for a long time because it's epoxy together with sand in it.
Yeah.
And you're getting the sand that is creating the resistance to wear it, and you're having the epoxy having the stiffness. Also being able to carry those heavy machine tools we are having, and that they are not setting over time, and you would have to realign the geometry. That's a
big deal.
Good stuff.
But when you think about epoxy, it would have to be a special mixture, right? Because like you think about sand and all that, and like I'm just thinking like when you're coming with metal, you would just scrape these bumps off, and yet it was very kind of like round and just contoured and like just a beautiful texture. Like, and there's no cuts in, no scrapes, nothing.
Well, it also has something to do with how you're taken care of course. You can't scrap metal over it. You will see scraps, of course. But it's really like they are building it up. So you're having that sand that is sticking out a bit out of the epoxy. And if they are putting too much epoxy on it, then it's getting slippery and everything. It's not working out. So they are finding really the right height adjustment. But we are having very good experience with it. And therefore we standardize that like all the other processes in our facilities.
Awesome. I know like when we were like Oxnard, like Haas, I remember like stories back in the day where they built their facility and they were thinking about like air conditioning.
Yeah.
So they built it close to the ocean so they could actually have the big doors open and come through.
Never had an air conditioner down there. Yeah, exactly.
So, and it worked, right?
It worked big time.
So when you're in Germany, I noticed like a lot of the hotels, they don't have air conditioning. and like I'm used to air conditioning. And then you go into these facilities and they're so hot. But when you walked into Schunk, it just had a nice temperature. Like even though it was hot outside, the temperature was really nice. And Marcus took me in the back, and he's got like, I'm not going to pretend to be able to like explain it, but like just these big pumps and big pipes, and the pipes are all going out and they're going through everything. So you're literally pumping water, cold water in the summer, hot water in the winter, through all the floors of the facility to like bring the temperature up and down. Is that kind of accurate?
That is actually exactly what we are doing, and we are doing that because sustainability matters so much for us, and therefore we are allowed to take that groundwater that is a similar temperature throughout the year, and we are allowed to take a massive amount of that groundwater, and then it flow through heat exchangers. And the only thing we need is big surfaces, of course, and therefore that is the known floor heating system we are using as well for cooling everything. And in the wintertime, we are doing the opposite of it. We are using, everything that comes, the heat out of the machines. And we are using, again, the water that is still warmer than the outside water. And then we are heating it through heating pumps and having also that floor heating everywhere. And that's a very sustainable system.
Have you guys calculated, so 200,000 square feet, the facility, have you guys calculated the amount of money that you've put into a system like that compared to if you just had huge air conditioning units and you were just powering that to a temperature control? Because you guys are making crazy precision parts. Like your parts are so precision because you have to make precision parts, right?
And that is actually coming to the point where we need that. We need somehow air conditioning, and we need to have stable temperatures because of the temperature growth of the parts on our big parts we are producing with the low tolerances, and also on the very small one like the tool holders, there is microns of tolerances. Therefore, we need it. Coming back to your question, did we calculate it? Yes, but also I have to let you know that regulations in Germany are that you would never be allowed to do it just with compressor cooling. You need to be sustainable on that, and there's a specific amount also what you need to do with renewable energies and everything, and it's paying off. It takes a while, of course, but it's giving you so many benefits getting to higher quality parts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny, last night we got to enjoy dinner with Marcus and the American manufacturing president, if you will, right?
Michael Gantz.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, people know him. Yeah, everyone knows Michael.
He's a rock star, both of them. It was a very enjoyable night. But what I noticed, the cleanliness of the facility, and you go back, you look at the video you guys just did on the walkthrough of Schunk, and it was, clean, quality, fantastic, phenomenal, amazing facility. And we talked a little bit last night about just the difference of what manufacturing used to be, the dirty word, and today it's more similar to what you have here, Titan, and what, Marcus, you guys have built out in Germany.
Well, I guess it's the basics, right? In a nice and clean environment and in a well-organized environment, there is quality being created. And it's happening, quality is happening. You are not testing quality into products, but you are producing quality. And therefore, I guess we have seen a lot of things, what we are also doing with our CIP team, that continuous improvement process team. It is to make things easy because we need to produce competitively, and we are exporting so much out of Germany, and Germany is not a cheap country to produce in, and there is a couple of competitors out there, and therefore we need to make sure that we are producing in the most effective way, and therefore a clean environment is needed. And it's actually basics, right? Like it is here.
Yeah, and it helps when you come to work every day, right? And you've got this facility that you get to walk in and just feel good about what you're walking into, and your employees must love it.
Actually, we are proud about that. We like to work there, and it's a good place. You know, we like our facilities, and
yeah, beautiful,
super good,
absolutely.
When we talk about like CNC machining and manufacturing, like when I think about CNC, you have the machine tool, right, and you got the spindle, and you got the work holding, you got the material, you got and then you just have levels to the game. You got the tooling, and just there's so many different facets. And becoming a CNC machinist and not having like, coming from where I come from, like I didn't really understand process. Like process, once I started learning it, because I'm an artist and my oil paintings, like I started realizing, hey, I actually live by these standards and rules of process, and there is a process and there are variables in what I already do in art. So learning that in machining was like fascinating to me, that it's like, okay, there's all these variables in the process and you perfect each one.
Yeah.
You perfect each one.
Absolutely.
Give each one the right time. If I look at my family life, I'm thinking to myself, like, I work and I have kids and I have my wife and I got this. So it's like, separate them, give them the appropriate time.
Yeah.
And understand there's a process there. And if you do it right, then everybody's happy.
Yeah.
I think that in running a company, it's the same way, because you have a facility first, that you have to make it a beautiful facility so that when people come, they don't want to leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't want to, they're not looking to go into another company. They're not looking for the next job. They're like, I actually love it here and I can't imagine leaving. So hopefully they just keep taking care of me, because like this is the best I've ever had. So like there's a lot of owners out there, I think they can kind of learn from that. Like you don't need huge money to actually improve the culture and the company and the looks and stuff. Just paint and clean and work, coming in on a Saturday morning or Friday night and just making sure everything's clean and dialed and stuff. Even these tables right here, like it's like we could have went and bought crazy tables, but we were like, okay, we bought these tables and then we went and got this dashboard plastic and put it over, and it comes up and it's like inexpensive, but it's very nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It looks good.
Yeah.
Heck
but
yeah.
just kind of like thinking about little things and stuff. So when I was over there at Schunk, I was like looking at the people and everybody smiling, and I was like showing Shaka. It's kind of cool. Like you go into these companies and you're able to like just, it's like the machinists because they've been watching the videos and you're just joking
So
around,
cool. Yeah, it's so cool.
and stuff. But then like from the building to the people being happy to the amount of machines that are running lights out and that variable and how that was perfected, so it's like from all of it, it's just perfection. And like I tell everybody, like they're like, oh, you run small machines and big machines. I'm like, yeah, we teach kids, we teach people on small machines. We want to teach on all levels, but we also want to teach on the monster level, so people understand that you can actually bring jobs back to, like, no matter where you're at, you can do jobs cheaper than outsourcing and put your own people to work if you have the right machines, the know-how, the automation, and all of it. So when I went over to Schunk, I was like blown away by, you have a new system over there with 4 hellers. How many like
pallets?
Big old system. I forget right now, but it was like 100 or something pallets. How much?
Well, it's actually 200 pallets in total in that system, and we are running linear storage systems for many, many years, and we found out that this is a perfect way of automation, of pallet automation, and to run our high mix with a medium volume or even low volume. If it comes back to reoccurring lot sizes of 5 to 10 pieces, we are running them on systems like that. And we actually started with those systems more than 20 years ago, and it really turned out to be the right production for these parts. Of course, there is always, if you're talking about automation or lights out production, there is so many different ways of doing that. You just need to find the right one for your company.
Absolutely.
There is no one fits all at all.
Completely
and
agree.
we are doing all of that. We are handling big pallets. We are handling parts with robots. Bar feeder and stuff. That is nothing that is new. We are loading grinders. We are loading all type of CNC machines, and that helps us a lot.
Yeah, I saw, again,
awesome.
Back to that video, you're right. The level of automation with, I don't know, pallets, robotics. I mean, the loading systems was incredible. And you're right. When you have a high mix, low mix, medium mix, volumes, it's all about the setup, right? You don't want to set up that job again. You want to leave that job on that pallet. That pallet is real estate. If the real estate repeats, then you bring it in when you need it, and you never have to set that job up again. Reduce setup times.
And it also helps when you are at a company that makes work holding and quick change systems,
Yeah, good call.
So
Absolutely, and it's nice what you're bringing up, because the purpose of why we are doing all that is because of our customers, right? We want to make our customers more productive, and that is a nice thing as well about producing everything on our own. Basically, we love manufacturing,
vertically integrated.
And therefore, we are proving actually that it's possible with those components. And it really starts if somebody is starting with a Weber-S NSL 200 quick change pallet system, where he's exchanging his wires, all the way up to those fully automated systems with our grippers and couplings and everything. Yes, that helps. But
and I'm sure it helps too for developing the product, because you guys are using your own products to make your own products. So anytime you see a room for opportunity, you're able to take it right there on the floor. So
good call.
And you're having a quite critical audience in the own shop too, and that helps, right? They are telling our engineers, they are calling the R&D guys to tell them, hey, I have an idea how that could be even done better. So why not changing it?
And that's a great call right there. Just listening to your employees, right? The feedback that you get from them is instrumental in how the product gets, developed over time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very cool.
You go to some manufacturers and they make a product that they sell, and it's like they don't actually use their own product to make their own product.
Right.
But when you go to Schunk, you have the money to use any product, but they're using their own products and refining that process and making them better. And it just shows you that, everybody knows when it comes to work holding, they're the top dog. They're number one.
Fantastic. Yep.
And it's like when you go to high levels and you're doing crazy parts and stuff, you cannot have those parts move.
Yeah.
And it's like you just got to invest in good work holding and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I was talking to Titan the other day, telling him how at General Atomics we were using another company's centric vices, and we couldn't even do the second operation of our parts because they couldn't repeat within 3 thousandths. So if you're trying to hold 1 thou true position, it's never going to happen. So we threw all their stuff into the dumpster and brought all Schunk in there, and we never had that problem again afterwards. So it really speaks to the quality of y'all's product.
that's literally the best commercial for Schunk right
no
there.
doubt, right? One of the best aerospace companies in the country, and bam, Schunk. That's fantastic. And part of that too, right? You look at you guys, I think, if I remember correctly, 1945, Schunk was kind of created, born.
Oh, absolutely. It was right after World War II, being founded by Friedrich Schunk.
Yeah.
And then now it's the third generation running the company, and it's completely family owned, and it's also from the ownership, from the leadership. It is a perfect company to work for because they're really taking care. And it will stay a family-owned company. That's a clear statement.
That's so great.
So the one facility that I visited, that was, you said 200,000 square feet. Right. And that's one of multiple facilities. How many facilities, how many people in that facility, and then how many people overall for all of Schunk worldwide? How many facilities?
Okay, so the facility you have seen is where we are taking care about work holding. So rotational work holding, stationary work holding, quick change pallet systems. There is a total, and there we are 550 employees actually, and the total amount of facility of Schunk is 8 facilities where we are producing, and it's a total of 3,500 employees that are working.
Incredible.
That's incredible.
Incredible.
So that's kind of like your home base, and I know you've put a lot of work into that facility that we're talking about. And so those 500 employees, do they report to you or somebody under you, or how does that structure work?
Well, of course, we are having an organization. We consider it to be a very flat organization. There's a production manager and, of course, a sales manager and financials and everything, because it's a self-sufficient place. But it's very flat structures, I guess. You got that when we walked through about how we know people and how they are acting. And you said you got those smiles in their faces. It's not that everybody is smiling every day, and but anyway, it is a very flat organization and with short ways of making decisions.
Nice.
I wanted to kind of follow up on my question with the entrance into the market, because selling machine tools for the last 29 years, it seems to me, right? A lot of guys, when I first started in the early 90s, it was vice work. It was make some soft jaws, put a part in a vice, op 1, op 2, op 3, whatever. Today, and I'd say mainly in the last maybe 5 to 7 years, work holding and quick changeover has taken a just enormous leap forward, and just it's all you see today. But it hasn't been that way for a long, long time. So how did you guys go from 1945 introducing a product to, let's just even say, last decade, the enormous growth I would imagine you guys have seen?
I guess one of the most important things is to listen to customers, right?
Yeah, great call.
And to try to understand the market. That's a reason of my visit in the US this week again. It is, I want to understand what are the needs in different countries and different styles of production, and to take that feedback with me. Are customers happy? Are they seeing improvements that need to be done? Coming to your point, if it comes to stationary work holding, what helped us is no longer looking at different solutions being isolated solutions. Like you said, okay, there is different types of vices, but it's just a vice.
Yep.
What we did is we created the biggest toolbox that is actually available in the market in that stationary work holding. Really starting was, if you're, we consider our range to be in between the table and the spindle.
Yes.
That's where we feel comfortable.
Great call. Yeah.
So, how to cover that? It starts with a quick change pallet system on a table, and then it needs to be easy to put things together. Yep. It should not be that you need dedicated parts for it afterwards, and you need adapter plates to get that on it. And that's something what I guess is very nice about our toolbox, that you can put magnets on. They are prepared for the pins for the rear S on it. You're putting our vices, you're putting on our tandem units on it, the fluid driven ones that are used in automation so often. And it's just a puzzle to get that together without buying special stuff. And therefore you're flexible, because that stuff is lasting quite long, and you don't want to buy it for a job that runs a year and then you don't know what to do with. No, you want to use it for those 10 years or even longer.
Yep.
And you want to reconfigure your setups. And I guess that is, when you were asking what changed over the years, I guess that is something that really fits together quite well. And then all the way up to automation, if you're using that robot or that pallet storage system, it is the same quick change pallet system we are using there.
Yeah.
And it's the grippers we can offer that, and if it's a good choice for the customer and the customer is satisfied, then we have done right.
Yeah, and that flexibility is super important too, because a lot of the big companies that I've worked for, they'll give us $20,000 tooling package for each machine. Mm-hmm. And so if we're buying 20 machines, I want to make sure that what I buy for this machine I can use in the other ones. Yeah, so
you got it.
That versatility is really key.
Absolutely. No, and that's you mentioned hydraulic holders. Those have also, just become enormously popular. That was introduced to your product line when?
1978.
Man, I saw. That's just crazy. But
Schunk
today you
out.
hear about them so much, and you guys have had them for that long.
Right. I guess the big push towards it is, together with the carbide tools getting more performant than ever, and therefore you need that high run-out accuracy, of course, and you also need that dampening.
Yes.
That dampening quality of those hydraulic tool holders, because they are preventing from tools getting micro breakouts and enlarging tool life, and that helps again the customer.
That's fantastic. Fantastic.
Keith, you were talking about like how now you see everybody wants like the Vera systems. Everyone wants like to automate and quick change and doing these different things. But I think social media has a lot to do with it.
Agreed.
Because all these shops that used to be closing the boxes, now they're watching videos and watching other people do it.
Yep.
And they're learning from those other people. So they're like, oh, that's how they do it. we should do the same thing so we can actually like make some money and stuff. So
yeah, no,
very
100%. We talked about that a little bit last night, right? The social media aspect of how people make decisions today is huge. And to see a product, you know, not every, I used to say this as a salesman all the time, you're stuck in these four walls every day, all day, right? So sometimes you can't venture out. I would always tell customers, let's go see some demos. Let's go see what other shops are doing. And people these days, so much more willing to share information. Absolutely. So you go into these shops and, you know, it's accessible, but what is way accessible? It's what we see online these days. Social media, the aspect of seeing what you guys can create, seeing that factory. It does wonders for what people can kind of step outside of that box, get outside of those four walls and see what is changing out there. What are the amazing products that different people produce? It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And if you're just going back, you know, to your point, Titan, and also yours, Keith, to your point, in the past, it was what a gift it was and how blessed you are when somebody was opening the door to you and you were able to travel and somebody was showing something to you. Not too many people were allowed to do that.
Yep.
And if we are talking about experience, that is the accumulation of what we have seen, but also the mistakes we did, right? That's called experience, I guess. And therefore, that is a totally different situation today. And therefore, it's a gift that you can check out all those things online, wherever you are.
Completely.
And you can learn. And with your academy and everything. I mean, it is, you are responsible if you are not doing it. Because it's all there, right?
You got it.
It's not, you can't claim anymore, well, if I would see what you are seeing, I could do it better. Bullshit.
Yeah, now you can.
It's all there.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are in a pool
no excuses.
structure, and it is a, I'm considering it as being a huge gift, what is available online.
Yeah,
Agreed.
that's awesome. People,
no excuses.
Back in the day, everybody's like, that guy won't teach me, and that guy won't teach me, and I don't have an opportunity. But now with the deals we have on Mastercam and SolidWorks and Academy and all the like, there's so many tutorials, and it's so just a wealth of knowledge. It's like, man, there's no excuses.
There are none.
It's hard work, grit, determination. Like, you want it, go get it.
Absolutely.
You want to make good money, then put the work in. Stop crying about it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And put the work in.
That was also, you know, one of those things that we're kind of leaning towards too is learning. And you mentioned something that was really cool last night, working with, I think you said at the kindergarten level, the young level of schools, to educate that next generation, very similar to what we're doing with curriculum on Titans. But Marcus, you are starting these kids out early about manufacturing. It was impressive.
Maybe it's not at the kindergarten, it's not manufacturing yet,
Okay.
but we want to create them being interested in techniques.
Yes.
You know, I told you the story that we are building rockets with them, but we just, or that we are cutting, hoses in different lengths and making them to understand why it's different tones they are getting out of it, you know, to think about physics and stuff. And I guess that is so important for us, you know. We need manufacturing. We need people that are interested in techniques.
Yes.
And that's when I said yesterday, well, it's when I'm advertising for us at schools for apprenticeship, I'm talking to them. Well, it is computers you are programming and operating that are producing parts.
Yep.
You know, just to bring it from a different perspective, if young kids, because some of them are really expecting that it's a whole different world. And yes, it's a whole different world, manufacturing, and it's a great world.
It's a phenomenal world. Absolutely.
And it never has been as interesting as it is today with all those great tools.
You know, back in the day before the advent of the internet, all I had to do, you know, I could just talk to salesmen. And of course, every salesman that came in would
say that.
Yeah, that's why I don't trust people like you. But you know,
Keith, you weren't a salesman.
I mean, every salesman that comes in would say, we have the best product, buy it from us and you'll see.
Yeah.
And then you can never tell if the salesman is being honest or not, or even if they know if their product's better than somebody else's.
Truly.
But now with social media and YouTube and all this stuff, before I buy anything, I want to see somebody else using it, not the manufacturer. I want to see, the titans of the world and what they're able to do with it, and then I believe
that's a great
and ask straight up questions. Go into these like groups, like our Facebook group, and now on CNC Expert, anybody can post a question like what should I do? What type of equipment should I get? And then people just honestly just give you the answers. And
yeah, the forum, you're exactly right. Barry, I was looking at it this morning. You were on a solid cam, what would you call it? Like the
SolidWorks user group?
Yeah, sorry, SolidWorks user group, thank you. And, the response from that team that I saw on LinkedIn this morning was amazing. I mean, we got the great Barry, from Titans on with us, and it was fantastic.
But that's why we get the respect of the industry, is because we are honest about the products that we use, and we say, hey, we believe in this thing.
100%.
You try it out and tell us what you think. And we always get that positive feedback, especially in our Facebook groups. People will say, hey, you told us to buy this drill, and now we're at 200,000 holes on the same drill bit in stainless. And it's like, I love seeing that, because it makes me feel good. Absolutely. Because it's like I showed you guys something, or we showed you guys something, and you tried it, and now you see why we sit here and preach about the stuff that we're using. So.
Well, we talked about it too the other day. I think this was maybe last week or something, right? With the experience we've had in this industry together, a lot of those products that we've tried, we've vetted those products throughout the years. We've seen what's good and bad. Having done it for almost 30 years, you've been doing it for decades, Titan decades, and now what we've been able to accomplish and put out to the social media guys, our followers, it's pretty vetted. You've used a lot of that stuff out there.
It's been such a process. Like I'm thinking about the process, because when you start teaching and you start like talking to people out there, you get better.
Yep.
Because you really have to analyze what you're putting out. So when we started like doing education, we started making the curriculum, I became a better machinist, because as I was on a machine, I was like looking at like the why and like the different things that we were going to put out, and making sure that we put out the right stuff.
Yep.
And then I was such a protective father over the company when other people were putting things out, to be like, just because that's what you believe doesn't mean the Titans of CNC is going to put that out.
Right.
Like
exactly.
It has to be perfect.
Yep.
But people have seen that the team has just been built and built and built, where it's like every single one of the guys are amazing, great. Each one is a Titan of CNC in their own place and stuff. I'm sitting over here next to Barry, and Barry, I mean, this guy like machines like $20 million parts, like 20 million just for like the material and stuff, just crazy parts like for
Still
General Atomics. So when he's speaking about his experience, I just back off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man, I'm like in good company with just great men, and bringing you in here, at 29 years, sold me my first 4 machines, and we've been friends forever, man. And it's like, I just love, like, I sit back like a fan just listening to you, you know?
Yeah.
And what a gift that we get to like talk to Marcus over here, And how many years in the game for you?
I'm with Schunk already since 26 years.
Wow.
And I actually started in industry 35 years ago.
That's
with
awesome.
my apprenticeship as to become a tool maker, where I'm very thankful for that apprenticeship program I was able to get through.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is your actual title now?
It's managing director of that business division of Schunk.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
very cool.
The one that I said, so you're the leader, and he's like, well, there's a lot of managers, and he's so polite.
But that's probably why all of his employees are smiling when you go in their facility. Because I've worked in a lot of these management heavy places, and they are tough to smile at.
Yeah.
Super good.
But look at that, how those years of experience coming up through it, and we talked a little bit again last night about the close-knit nature of our industry, right? And just keeping those relationships that we've had for so long. Once you get in this industry, it is hard to leave. Because the passion that we all have for this, and the friends that you create, the relationships that you build over so many years, it's a tough industry to beat. The friendships are amazing.
And since it's a small world, you better don't mess. Right?
don't burn any bridges.
They will find you.
They will find you for sure. You will be called out.
Yeah. And what a blessing that we get to like just bring awareness to all people. You know, there's buildings out there everywhere, and there's people in there that don't know CNC. They don't know this industry. They don't know how they're going to actually make a living for their families. And it's like, hey, we got the best industry right now. People are looking for good workers. We have free education curriculum. And it's like, you feel so good being able to bring them into this industry because it is like one big family. And you work hard, you grind it out. It is tough, but when you solve problems, you make money. When you get better and you get through it, you do better in life. And each experience takes you to just another level. And man, I'm just super stoked that this whole team, and thank you, Marcus, for being here today, man. I saw you in Germany. Now we're in Texas, baby. On the microphone. Boom,
I know, we got him to do this. How did we do that? He was a little reserved about not wanting to do this. I think in the end, he's like going to ask when he can come back and do the next one.
He's like, I thought you were joking at dinner. And I was like, no, man, this is manufacturing, baby. Like, we just pivot and go.
It wasn't to be reserved. I just did not get if Titan is, just
seriously.
No, thanks again for having me. It's so good, that long-term relationship we are having.
That's awesome.
Something you mentioned before, that relationships are long-term. And I guess since you have been over there seeing what we are doing there and us coming constantly here, and it's creating a nice relationship, understanding better and finding the ideas. And we highly appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Making manufacturing famous.
Absolutely.
Boom.
Absolutely.
Worldwide, baby.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate it.
Right on, brother. Great job. Thanks, brother. Boom. We're out.
Be good.